Modi roars, Sindoor bana barood. April 22nd attacks avenged in 22 minutes.
22 तारीख के हमले के जवाब में हमने 22 मिनट में आतंकियों के 9 सबसे बड़े ठिकाने तबाह कर दिए।
The stand of Naya Bharat is clear. Terrorists and their sponsors say,
हम आतंक के आकाओं और आतंकी सरपरस्त सरकार को अलग अलग नहीं देंगे, उन्हें अलग अलग नहीं देखेंगे, उन्हें एक ही मानेंगे।
Pakistan's nuclear threats called out. Won't tolerate any attacks on India.
भारत पर आतंकी हमला हुआ तो करारा जवाब मिलेगा।
Prime Minister Modi's red line for Pakistan.
Hello and welcome. Good evening. You're watching NewsTrack here on India Today. I'm Akshita Nadagopal. It's been 1 month since the Pahalgam terror attack, April 22nd to May 22nd. And it's on this day that Prime Minister Modi has chosen to deliver his most aggressive message to Pakistan and to Pakistan-sponsored terror. We're going to be getting you highlights of the Prime Minister's speech. We've got the best in the industry, the double engine of India Today. Rajdeep Sardesai and Gaurav Sawant here with me in the studio to kind of decode for you the Prime Minister's message, as many are referring to it as the Modi Doctrine. But a clear message from India that we will no longer tolerate any terror attacks on our soil. Every such attack will be considered an act of war. And it was that message that Prime Minister Modi echoed in Rajasthan today, lauding the forces from the Adampur airbase in the past, now again reiterating the doctrine, saying very clearly Operation Sindoor is the new normal. I want you to also take a look at that graphic that we have on our screens right now of the words that the Prime Minister used in his speech, because it gives you a sense of exactly who his message was intended for. 40 times the word Pakistan being used. There's also a specific mention of terror, and clearly the message going across that we will no longer tolerate terror or any country that also sponsors terror. The message of Vikas, development, Sindoor, 9 times being mentioned by the Prime Minister. So interesting breakdown there of the Prime Minister's speech. Here are some highlights.
मां भारती का सेवक मोदी यहां सीना तान कर खड़ा है। मोदी का दिमाग ठंडा है, ठंडा रहता है, लेकिन मोदी का लहू गर्म होता है। और अब तो मोदी की नसों में लहू नहीं, गरम सिंदूर बह रहा है। 22 तारीख के हमले के जवाब में हमने 22 मिनट में आतंकियों के 9 सबसे बड़े ठिकाने तबाह कर दिए। दुनिया ने और देश के दुश्मनों ने भी देख लिया कि जब सिंदूर बारूद बन जाता है तो नतीजा क्या होता है। ऑपरेशन सिंदूर ने आतंकवाद से निपटने के 3 सूत्र तय कर दिए हैं। पहला, भारत पर आतंकी हमला हुआ तो करारा जवाब मिलेगा। समय हमारी सेनाएं तय करेगी, तरीका भी हमारी सेनाएं तय करेगी और शर्तें भी हमारी होगी। तीसरा, हम आतंक के आकाओं और आतंकी सरपरस्त सरकार को अलग अलग नहीं देखेंगे, उन्हें अलग अलग नहीं देखेंगे, उन्हें एक ही मानेंगे। पाकिस्तान का ये स्टेट और नॉन स्टेट एक्टर वाला खेल अब नहीं चलेगा। पूरी दुनिया में पाकिस्तान की पोल खोलने के लिए हमारे देश के 7 अलग अलग प्रतिनिधिमंडल पूरे विश्व भर में पहुंच रहे हैं और इसमें देश के सभी राजनीतिक दलों के लोग हैं, विदेश नीति के जानकार हैं, गणमान्य नागरिक हैं। अब पाकिस्तान का असली चेहरा पूरी दुनिया को दिखाया जाएगा।
So those were some of the highlights of the most hard-hitting points from the Prime Minister's address there, directed to Pakistan, directed to terrorists. I'd like to bring in Rajdeep Sardesai and Gaurav Sawant on this broadcast in the special edition of NewsTrack. Rajdeep, to you first. What did you make of the Prime Minister's speech? Everyone's referring to it as the Modi doctrine of no restraint and that there will be retaliation.
Look, that doctrine was enunciated by the Prime Minister even when he addressed the nation, if you recall last week. I think the Prime Minister is a great fan of Salim Javed. You know, the fact is, he likes to give us blockbuster dialogues. Like Salim Javed gave us blockbuster films in the 1970s. You know, Sindoor, Barood, Khoon Nahi...
Garam Sindoor.
Mere ragon mein sindoor hai, khoon nahi. Look, this is straight out of Salim Javed blockbuster, Amitabh Bachchan, He-Man, Angry Young Man. This is how the Prime Minister's muscular image is projected. The question is, how much of those words are being translated into action effectively? Operation Sindoor, as the Prime Minister says, is the new normal. We will not differentiate, for example. I think that's the most significant part of it. We are no longer differentiating between the sponsors of terror and the government of Pakistan in a way. No longer a differentiation between state actors and non-state actors. And Operation Sindoor showed that. We targeted terrorist infrastructure and we targeted military bases in Pakistan. I just want to ask the big question, is that going to be enough to deter terror emanating out of Pakistan, or will it in the long run only strengthen the army leadership? Because I think you need a far more multi-pronged strategy when you're dealing with an enemy state like Pakistan, a rogue army state like Pakistan. So the words are fine. I can see where the Prime Minister is coming from, and he has this ability to connect with an audience instantly, know what the audience wants, sense its mood. But will it really change the nature and character of the Pakistani state? I have a huge question mark still on that big question, because that is ultimately what it's about. Presumably the Prime Minister, or the so-called Modi doctrine, is intended to ensure that Pakistan ends sponsoring terror. My fear is that sometimes the language and the rhetoric might only encourage more elements within Pakistan to, dare I say, take up arms against India. And that's the fear that I have. And that is a fear that has still not been addressed by those who enunciate these strategic doctrines.
Okay, Gaurav, what do you have to say to that? That there's strong messaging by the Prime Minister, but what about the next steps?
So, with Narendra Modi, there is no Aman ki Asha after Pakistan terror. There is Brahmos ki Bhasha. So Salim Javed may write good dialogues. It's only Air Chief Marshal A.P. Singh who delivers the BrahMos supersonic cruise missiles. It's the Indian Army General Upendra Dwivedi and his men who deliver those kamikaze drones that take out the radars at Pasrur. It's the Navy that ensures that Pakistan is kept bottled in. Never in the history of this country responding to Pakistan's state-sponsored radical Islamist terror. And if I may, we've suffered for decades in Punjab and in the rest of the country from the 1980s. I'm not even going back to, the 1940s. But let's take it fact by fact. Rajdeep, you must have reported 1993 Mumbai blast when 257 innocent Indians were massacred. There were no Salim Javed dialogues, but then there was no action either. Let's also talk about 26/11 Mumbai terror attacks. Unfortunately, there was no action at all. When Parliament was attacked, there was talk of aar paar ki ladai. Sadly, only talk. The only time India has shown action is when 13 Pakistani Air Force bases were pulverized. And the Prime Minister today very clearly said, Rahim Yar Khan remains in ICU. That's strategic messaging. 9 terror bases, including at Muridki and Bahawalpur, that nobody could dare target in the past. They were decimated. They were obliterated. Now, if all of that is just dialogue and not action, your Brahmos ki bhasha is much louder than any Aman ki Asha.
So, Rajdeep, then the question is, have we for the first time perhaps taken the most sizable concrete action against Pakistan after a terror attack?
Look, at the end of the day, the proof of the pudding will be in the eating. If over the next 12, 24 months, as a result of the various steps taken by the Modi government or the so-called Modi doctrine, Pakistan ends its support for terror, I think Gaurav Sawant is spot on. And then can claim that the Prime Minister's Modi doctrine has worked. But if I look at, if I look at the last decade, just look at how things have changed. 2014, Prime Minister Modi swearing in, who does he invite? Nawaz Sharif. 2015 December, who does the Prime Minister go and meet and do jhapiya papiya with? Nawaz Sharif. The fact is, for years, and previous regimes also reached out to Pakistan. Lahore Bus Yatra, Parvez Musharraf being invited for a cricket match, meeting Manmohan Singh. We've tried the jhapiya papiya with Pakistan, it didn't work. Even with Prime Minister Modi, it didn't. Terror attacks have taken place even in the last decade. Pulwama happened, Pathankot happened, Uri happened, and now Pahalgam has happened. I will accept Gaurav's view that we need this kinetic action into 10, as the Modi doctrine claims it will have, if it ends Pakistan-sponsored terror.
You don't think it will, though?
I don't know. You see, the Pakistani army leadership, I use the word, is a rogue leadership. It's a rogue army state. Gaurav uses the term Islamic radical terror. Let's bring the two together, Islamic radical terror and army state. I don't think they're going to end it in a hurry. I think with a country like Pakistan, you need a multi-pronged approach. You can't only rely on kinetic action. To my mind, using the Indus Water Treaty, pushing Pakistan to the negotiating table may be a far better way to actually reach some kind of a tangible solution.
But they've done that, Rajdeep. What do you mean when you say multi-pronged approach? Do you think there should be dialogue? What is it you're saying should be done?
Look, I think you have to have a kinetic approach where necessary, but you're also going to have to, you cannot change your neighbors. So at some stage or the other, India and Pakistan will have to resolve this on a negotiating table, bilaterally. My worry at the moment is that as a result of what we've seen in the last month, we've got busybodies across the world who want to mediate like Donald Trump. No, I think we have to very clearly say no to that. We hopefully have said so. But my worry is, unless you change the character of the Pakistani army state, you are going up an escalatory ladder, which, God forbid, between two nuclear neighbors can spiral out of control, as we saw only a few days ago. So I would hold my judgment on this Modi doctrine till I have consciously seen that Pakistan has stopped the flow of terrorists into our country.
Gaurav, what do you think? Is Operation Sindoor, yes, is ongoing, but looking at what's happening right now, how is this going to end? Do you think, like Rajdeep, that there should be dialogue, a multi-pronged approach?
So let's take this step by step and let me try and explain. 1993, when we were struck, nothing. We did not retaliate, we were struck again. 26/11, when we did not retaliate, when 166 people were massacred, we were struck again. So Pakistan realized that it can continue to hit us because it has nuclear weapons. We will do nothing. And actually do nothing. On the contrary, not only have dialogue, but agree to an introduction of Baluchistan, a reference to Baluchistan in the disaster that was there at Sharm el-Sheikh, the disaster at Sharm el-Sheikh. When Dr. Manmohan Singh's government agreed to that Sharm el-Sheikh. I completely agree with Rajdeep that Prime Minister Narendra Modi invited all the SAARC heads of state, when he was sworn in, heads of state and government, and then he dropped in unannounced at Lahore. That was his attempt to reach out to Pakistan. Every leader, Rajdeep, has realized reaching out to Pakistan to the great cost of lives lost in our country, that Pakistan is a radical Islamist state sponsor of terror, and you need to slam it into submission each time. Dialogue does not work, because when you have dialogue, they prepare to hit you. Now, let me also explain the post-Uri surgical strike that happened, Rajdeep. Pakistan did another terror attack, which was Pulwama. Then when you struck them in Balakot, Rajdeep, we never had another 26/11 in our country. We never had any other part of our country being targeted except our country in Jammu and Kashmir. So that Balakot sent across a message when you were using air power. That was massive escalation, that we'll use air power to punish terror. 5 years, one message went. Again, because Asim Munir wanted to strengthen himself in his country, wanted to wrest control of power, he did a Pahalgam, and Rajdeep, he's been slapped across his face, left, right and center. That army neither has Izzat nor Iqbal today. An army where you can hit Sargodha, an army which is a nuclear weapon state and you can hit Noor Khan, an army which is a nuclear weapon state and you can hit them from POJK to Sindh, is not an army worth its name. 1971, their pants were taken off. This time, once again, that emperor has no clothes in Pakistan. Every military analyst will tell you that. Those who chose, and if I may, Rajdeep, his nuclear blackmail has been called out when the area around Sargodha was targeted very effectively. When Jacobabad was targeted, he wants to escalate. We are on top of that escalation ladder, and India has proved it.
No, but Gaurav, you have highlighted several instances of how we've hit back at Pakistan in the last many years. So are you suggesting that every time there should be a deterrence and then Pakistan goes quiet and then again it's a flare-up, again we respond? What's the end game here?
With a terror state, there is no end game. Across the world, you have to keep striking, you have to keep fighting, you have to remain on top of that situation. You cannot do one Balakot and think, okay, now I'm safe. You have to continue degrading his military capabilities, which is what India is doing. And it's not just military capabilities. It's a multi-pronged offensive. Diplomatically, you have an all-party delegation that's out to expose them. You have the Indus Waters Treaty that's being held in abeyance. There is no dialogue that's happening. And I'm sorry, if somebody comes into your house and takes over your drawing room, you do not have dialogue and say, oh, darling, let's share the drawing room. No, you do not share your drawing room. You just throw him out of your house. And that's exactly what needs to be done. Pakistan needs to be out of POJK, including northern areas, and sooner than later, that shall happen.
In the limitations of the current situation, Rajdeep, we speak of a multi-pronged approach. Are we seeing that right now? A multi-pronged approach, diplomatic strike, digital strike, and military?
Look, again, I will say all of this will be tested on the ground. Gaurav Sawant can claim that, what did he say? That we've taken the pants of Pakistan?
In 1971.
1971, we effectively ended the idea of Pakistan as an Islamic state, a state founded on religious identity. The various linguistic other cleavages that existed within Pakistan were exposed by what happened in 1971 and the formation of Bangladesh. We're even seeing today parts of the periphery of Pakistan, whether it's in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, whether it's in Baluchistan, the country has imploded from within. There are serious crises within Pakistan that are taking place. My fear, though, is the one thing that unites Pakistan is anti-Indianism. And we have to therefore be very careful with some of the rhetoric that we allow to get the better of us. The last thing we need is to have a jihadi general in Pakistan being strengthened. That's my only limited point. I am not saying there are easy solutions out there. The civilian leadership, sadly, is too weak and effect to be able to effect any of those solutions. We've tried to do dialogue with them in the past. Lahore Bus Yatra with Nawaz Sharif, it didn't work. We attempted it even during Manmohan Singh's time. It didn't work. But we need a permanent solution.
No, so
the permanent solution is not going to come unless we discuss the real issues. We need to discuss terror with Pakistan, and at some stage, we will have to address our own issues within Jammu andAshmir.
No,
and,
the only issue that needs to be discussed is Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. Not only taking back Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. There is no question.
How are we going to take back Pakistan-occupied Kashmir? We have two options. Either we agree on the present LOC as an international border.
No, why?
Which was put on the table, which I think is a potential solution. Are you telling me we will walk into POK tomorrow and Pakistan will give up
Why
POK?
tomorrow?
Is that
so
what
We are
you're
a
suggesting?
civilizational state.
So explain,
we are a
Gaurav.
That's where I
civilizational
differ.
state.
That's where I differ
Yes,
with
so
Gaurav.
it
These
will-
are all very nice terms, civilization state. Let us not underestimate also Pakistan's capacity to strike back as a nuclear power. I am saying,
No,
can
but
we
Rajdeep,
look,
haven't
are
we
we
seen
looking
that?
for permanent solutions, or is the Prime Minister, as he was today, first satisfying the domestic constituency? कि देखो हमने मुंह
Okay,
तोड़
let's
जवाब
take this
पाकिस्तान
one at a
को
time.
दे
One
दिया.
second, let's take this one at a time.
Hassan
Gaurav.
Munir is doing it.
वो
We are
आपका
the Prime
सिंदूर
Minister
उजाड़
doing it.
देगा. No,
Hold
no,
on,
no, no,
Rajdeep,
hello.
Gaurav, just hold on. One at a
वो
time.
आपका सिंदूर उजाड़ देगा और आप बोलोगे डायलॉग करें, डायलॉग
मैंने
करें.
डायलॉग
Is that what we
मैंने
want?
कहा multi-pronged approach
तो
will eventually
multi-pronged
have to be
approach है, इससे
taken.
ज्यादा
Okay,
क्या
let's take
multi-pronged
this.
approach चाहिए? Indus Waters Treaty has been held in abeyance. In IWT is in abeyance. You're not having any dialogue with Pakistan on anything except POJK. You know, now you're
Okay,
putting
so-
pressure that they should get no money. You're telling Turkey and China to wake up. Whether they do or not, we don't know. But at
Turkey
least
and
you're
China are
trying.
showing no signs of waking up. The IMF today has defended granting a loan to Pakistan. You see, Gaurav,
Very
words
good.
come easy.
Then at least
one
you-
minute,
One at a time,
I'll
please,
let you
one at a
respond.
time.
I'll let you respond. Words come easy. Yes, the Prime Minister, I believe, both in Balakot and in Operation Sindoor, showed himself to be a risk taker, willing to sort of hit Pakistan in the heart of Punjab in the case of Operation Sindoor. I still maintain, though, there are no silver bullets. You see, a dialogue on its own is not going to get Pakistan to abandon its support to terror. The Pakistani army state effectively functions on anti-Indianism and therefore has used
Okay.
for more than 30 years this low-intensity conflict to target India.
Now you
I
have
have,
imposed
I have
costs.
exactly 2 minutes. Once
Sorry?
again, I have
Now
exactly
you've
2
imposed
minutes.
costs on him.
I'm going to let Gaurav answer
Unaffordable
first.
cost. Pakistan cannot
Just a second,
afford.
sir. Let him-
Pakistan cannot afford 13 of its air bases being bombed. It cannot afford losing its fighter
Can we
jets.
afford a
Just hold on,
prolonged,
sir.
continuous, perennial conflict with Pakistan? Can we,
We are
at a
wait
time
for
when we are
30
aiming
years,
to
for
become the
30
third
years.
largest economy in the world, can we afford to have a permanent situation of instability in the subcontinent?
At the same
are we
time-
willing to go up this escalating
Yes,
ladder
we
without
will not
a clear
do
end
sajda.
game? Do we
India
know what
will
is
never.
the end game?
We will not do a sajda to terror. India will never do a sajda to terror. India should never do a sajda
Let
to
him
terror.
answer.
And permit me to respond. Permit me to respond. We have been at war with Pakistan, except that we haven't realized it. Now we are realizing it. Pakistan has bled us continuously since 1947, when it sent in tribal raiders and took away a part of your Kashmir. Point one. Point two, India can afford it. Pakistan cannot afford this long war because Pakistan is a beggar state. Beggars cannot fight wars. So let's be very realistic.
Okay.
Pakistan is in a bad position. Baluchistan is its biggest province, which is giving it grief. Afghanistan cannot stand Pakistan. If they also mount an offensive, Pakistan is in grave trouble,
I'm-
and that grave
You know, I
trouble
will-
I'm
is
out of
only
time. I'm-
intensifying
Very
in the
quickly.
months ahead, Rajdeep. This man, Asim Munir, he may be a field marshal today. It may be a box of exploding mangoes very soon.
You know,
Okay.
a
Quickly,
couple
quickly,
of nights
Rajdeep,
ago,
yes.
I watched the latest Netflix series on how Al-Qaeda's Osama bin Laden
yes.
and Osama bin Laden were taken out. It has been always my belief that eventually you need to also ensure that you have the muscle as well as the mind to be able to do those kind of high-risk operations.
Absolutely.
I believe,
Well
therefore,
done.
the kind of covert operations, whether you're going to actually be able to do that, we don't know. I'm only saying, before you go ahead and believe that you believe your own rhetoric at times,
These are
be
facts.
conscious of the
Facts.
fact that you need to have the muscle and the mind to be able to run these operations successfully over an extended period
Okay.
of time. You're dealing with a state that is not going to back down so easily.
Neither
Therefore,
will we.
I'm
Our
not saying
resolve
that,
is
of course,
stronger than his.
I am saying, therefore,
I
am
just
saying
wish
priority.
everybody in this country had that strong resolve.
I am saying our priority
I've
is,
run out of-
compare a Pakistan, which is a basket case that has gone 20 odd times to the IMF, with India that wants to become the third largest economy. I hope we can reset
do
our
both.
priorities
Okay.
and also look at the other real danger in our neighborhood, which is China, which we can discuss on another day.
I will choose to end this on one issue that both agree on, which is that it takes muscle and mind to tackle Pakistan. And I think Gaurav, Rajdeep, both of you agree with me on that. We'll wrap it up.
Nishchaya. That is what the Srimad Bhagavad Gita says.
Okay, we'll wrap it up with this. Thanks very much for tuning in.